Okay, let me just get everything set up, everyone. Let me know if my audio is coming in. Can you hear me talking? Just let me know. I'll be just finishing up setting up everything. Give me a second here. There we go. All right, so this is a brand new setup. I have my Zoom on, but I'm still I'm doing a new way to broadcast. So if my audio is not coming in, just let me know. Give me just a second here. And today is a Patreon Zoom class, meaning anyone on Patreon is free to join me if they want to. This is a Zoom class. This isn't just me. It's whoever else wants to join that's on Patreon. If we don't get enough people, though, or if I kind of did this last minute, so a lot of people probably didn't have enough notice. If I don't get enough people on, then I'll just open it up to the YouTube channel and I'll post the link for where this is if it gets too quiet. So you guys let me know. How's it going? I can see everyone on YouTube, on the YouTube channel already responding, which is pretty cool. So like I said, right now I'm doing a Zoom class. I figured it'd be kind of cool to share it on the YouTube channel. If I posted it last minute, but if we can get some people on Patreon that want to join the Zoom class, awesome. If not, I'll open it up to the YouTube channel and then I'll just post the link below. But until I wait, I'm happy to answer YouTube questions as well. So a couple shout outs here. I want to shout out to Jacob, to Clan Wilmot, to X-Man Dev. So that's perfect. I'm glad the audio is coming in great. Well, let's just go ahead and start. I'm kind of winging this a little bit. I'll show you some of the things I've been working on lately. I've been doing a little bit of double chucks. What you'll notice with these chucks is these are slightly different than the pair I usually use, but these are still made by Dark Monk. I'm testing out a new prototype double nunchuck, which is a little bit lighter. I really like the way these feel. These are prototypes, so this is just kind of a new model. They're faster. They're still metal on the inside, so they have a little bit of weight. I like the pegged grips at the end, so I can quickly slide in. So if I'm grabbing here and I'm in a near grip, I can just open up my hand and it'll slide in to do a far grip. I think I might ask him to see if he might be able to put a peg in the center too, because with the older nunchucks, I kind of like being able to slide down into a middle grip, which is really good for throws. But either way, even if you don't, you can just kind of open your hand and close it. That little technique of opening your hand and closing it as it slides out is a good one for changing your grip really fast and easy. I've been working on a lot of new double tricks. For instance, I'll show you. A lot of my tricks revolve around performance. So instead of getting super technical, I'm just trying to get a lot of footwork in, something like that, you know. And there's a lot of things that are happening simultaneously here. One is we have this thing called a hip reel, which is happening, or it's kind of like a horizontal figure eight happening at the hips, but then I'm pushing it over to the other side. So I'm doing this figure eight on the opposite side of my body. But if you do it too long, it just looks a little wonky. So I'm doing a front-to-front hand roll with the other hand while I do one spin across like that. And what's happening here is this gives me a chance to turn my whole body. It almost feels like I'm turning to this side anyway. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do a front-to-front up high. Now this is going to be considered more of an advanced move. And if you're just joining us, this is just a thought I had for a little bit more footwork. I would consider this to be a little bit more advanced. But if you're just kind of hungry for a brand new move, this would be a good one. Here to here, again, this is probably more advanced. You're going to do a front to front with the behind the back. And then what's going to happen is you're going to take a step with it the moment you do it. So it's going to be front to front, this little behind the back roll happening simultaneously, and then your right foot steps as it happens here. And then from there, I just take another 180-degree step, pull my chucks over my shoulder, and then I can repeat. This is going to be, what do you call that? It's kind of like a figure eight by the shoulders. It's happening simultaneously, but it's just happening very quickly. It's dipping down behind and in front. So in all one motion, it's whoosh, whoosh, that. Again, it's whoosh, whoosh. A lot of this comes from split opposite hand rolls. These little guys, right? But with split opposite hand rolls, what you're looking at is the chucks are going in opposite directions, which allows us to do this move. But if you think about it, there's more directions than just the chucks going, this one's going counterclockwise, this one's going clockwise. But you could also go the opposite way and have something completely different. You could also go left, where they're both going counterclockwise, and that's a different move, and vice versa when they're both going right. So what I mean to say is, for instance, this kind of motion here is just very similar to the split opposite hand rolls, except for now what we're doing is we're taking one direction. Instead of both of them going, one's going clockwise and one's going counterclockwise, they're both going the same direction. And when they both go the same direction, it sets us up to be able to do different kinds of footwork and movements, because it's kind of like doing the weave, you know, when they're both going the same direction, you can kind of weave, which will allow you to do a lot of turns. But you can do the same thing with hand rolls as well. And that's what I've been working on lately, is just trying to unlock that, because I gotta admit, my left hand needs a little bit of work. So anyways, like I said, this is the YouTube Patreon live stream. There's a Zoom class happening simultaneously, but I posted it kind of last minute, so I don't know if we're gonna get enough Patreon donors to join. And if that's the case, and maybe in like 15 minutes, if we don't get a lot of people, what I'm probably gonna do is just post the link in the YouTube channel. So if you have a Zoom and we're not getting a lot of people in, for the video sides of things, just wait patiently and I'll probably post the link a little bit later, because it looks like it might be a little bit quiet. I also want to double check Facebook, make sure that the link is out on everywhere. So just give me 1 second, everyone. In the meantime, if you are on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, be sure to just ask a question, and when I come back out, I'm happy to answer your questions about nunchucks. Just double check, make sure everything's posted okay. I'll be right back. Also, if you hear dog barking, I'm dog sitting today. So there we go. Perfect. Just need to make sure that this is shared to all the channels. Maybe I can, nope, that's not gonna work. All right. Give me about 1 more minute, everyone. Sorry, I know that it's not fun to look at this. I just want to make sure everyone's had a chance, that the link is out and everyone has a chance to see it. Okay, perfect. And perfect. Okay, we're good to go. Okay. So, like I said, if you have any questions at all right now, please feel free to ask. Again, this was kind of a last minute thing, but I do have my Zoom open right now, and in a few minutes, in about 10 minutes, if we don't get any Zoomers, I'll open up the chat room. Everyone that's in the chat can join the Zoom class. So if you have Zoom installed, that'd be awesome. I'm assuming it's gonna be pretty quiet today. This is kind of a new thing, and I just shot it out last second, so yeah, let me know. Until then though, ask questions in the chat room. More than happy to help. Doubles, singles, performance, those are my big ones. Business is a big one too. I can help you if you want to be a performer, if you're curious about how they do it. Fire dancing I can kind of help with, but the most important thing, as I always say, is to find a local fire troop where you can actually have experienced fire safeties to help. I personally love fire dancing more than just about anything else. So I always love it, but you definitely have to take the right precautions. It makes nunchucks more of a circus art and allows you to be able to showcase it in shows a little bit easier than just normal standard nunchucks. But you know, there's a lot of reasons why people do chucks. Some people do it for their zen. Some people do it as a sport. Some people do it because they want to like be awesome in their martial arts nunchucks routines, you know, their creative weapons. And then other people just do it because they want to be like, they want to make a career out of it, like a circus performance kind of thing, which is generally my focus. All right, I see some questions here, so I'm gonna read it off here. X-Man says, hey Ken, been wondering how I can get out of the cycle of repeating the same tricks. When I perform in front of friends, I repeat the same stuff. So I would like to know in chat too. I think this is a good question. How many of you guys learn a bunch of tricks and then you get up in front of your friends, or you say, hey, check this out. Even if you just get a new trick, I'll give you 2 examples. One, you just learn a new move, you go in front of your friends, you say, hey, check this out. And then your hand misses or you drop it, right? That's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is you come out in front of your friends. They're all gathered around, maybe it's 4th of July and you've got, you know, and everyone is just waiting to watch you do a show. You practice your choreography and you have your music playing and you get in the zone and everything blanks out. The reason for this is because It's kind of like your adrenaline is pumping, right? There's a little bit more nervousness. When people are eyeballing you, it's a completely different feeling than when you're doing it alone. Matter of fact, it's the same thing when I stand in front of a camera. I don't know if you've ever stood in front of a camera and tried to live stream anything or even tried to record something. It's a totally different experience than when I'm just jamming in my element, playing my music without anyone watching. So what this requires is there's going to be a couple things. One, ingrain it in your muscle memory. You're going to have certain things that you've ingrained in your muscle memory, and your brain, when it is clinging on, when you've got stage fright, it's going to go with the things that you don't have to think about. If you have to think about it, it's going to be really hard. And the second is getting used to being in front of an audience or performing in front of people. This is a completely different skill set than when you're alone. So the true answer is, I don't want to say you have to suck in front of people, but you kind of have to suck in front of people, because what you have in your mind will not unlock immediately if you have stage fright. But the best way to get through it is to do it a lot. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Absolutely. But until then, don't be hard on yourself and expect yourself to do the same moves over and over. One thing you can do, though, is just present it a little bit better. Again, so like if you do a circular spin, and your brain seizes up, sure, you can do a circular spin, but get into it a little bit more. Move it around in a circle at least, kind of put your arms into it, like make it look like you're getting into it a little bit more. So even if you're frozen or you can't figure out what you're doing, just occupy different space with it, occupy different speeds with it, and it doesn't matter, because what people see is what you feel, is the feeling you're conveying. They're not seeing the techniques. So even if you don't do a whole lot of techniques, it's not a big deal as long as you put presence into it as much as you can, and that's gonna take time. So I hope that helps. Oops. You're going to have to get used to just being in front of people, though. And it's not easy at first. It gets easier in time, though. Guaranteed. Just keep doing it. All right. Give me just a second here. I'm just going to... Got to block someone. Sorry. How do I remove this? There we go. Got a little bit of a spammer jumping in, so had to block him out. Jeez. All right. X-Men Dev says, I have loads of tricks in my head, but I do the same 5 or 6 and they always come out. This is in regards to the previous question, and that's absolutely true. What you're basically doing is those 5 or 6 moves are probably the 5 or 6 moves that you can do very well, or they're the ones you did most recently, so they're stuck in your head. Again, when you have stage fright, or when I talk in front of a camera compared to when I'm just lounging in front of my television, it's a totally different energy. So getting used to that is a different ballpark. Just, if you can't cling on to anything, just use what you can cling on to and do your best. Now, another thing you can do, there's one more thing you can do outside of that, and that's practice choreography or practice different styles of movement. For instance, I have different styles of movement with my nunchucks. I don't just spin chucks, I have different styles. So if I want to do a slow style, for instance, slow is like more snake-like, and it has like different kinds of techniques that I use as opposed to like a high-speed fast version. And when you have different styles associated with it, when your brain immediately says, okay, I'm going to do a slow style, or I'm going to do a hyper bounce style, it will automatically default to different sets of moves. So if you start subcategorizing your moves and you practice those moves, then what's going to happen is you're going to have, as soon as you change your style, you're going to automatically default to different sets of moves. So this can also help you remember a lot more moves. All right. What's going on, Santiago? Good to hear from you. Good to see you again, man. Give me just a second here. Okay. Sion Wilmot says, how would you recommend starting double nunchaku? Are there any go-to tricks or tips you can recommend or give or show? Sure. So I do have double nunchucks basics on my YouTube channel. The hardest part about double nunchucks is kind of like this, rubbing your belly and patting your head. You've got to get used to doing 2 things simultaneously, and sometimes they can even be different kinds of tricks. When you first start out with double nunchucks, though, it's probably best to keep them sequenced together. Now, the important thing with double chucks when you first start out is always to remember, like, they're either going against each other like this, where one's going clockwise and one's going counterclockwise, or they're going the same direction. So they're either going opposite directions or same directions, as long as they're spinning on the same planes. And that's really important because different moves, you can only do different moves. There's only certain moves you can do in the directions that they're spinning. For instance, if they're both spinning the same way, I can do weaves, but I can't do butterflies unless they're spinning in opposite ways. Now, that's just a concept that you have to remember, is that there's going to be 4 different ways that they spin. So we're going to choose a direction. For instance, like same direction like this, right? If they're spinning in the same direction, there's only going to be certain moves that you can do. And honestly, I would just start with doing 2 figure eights simultaneously as they cross past each other, like this. Think of the single moves that you do, the moves that you do with single nunchucks like this, but then imagine doing 2 of them at the same time and as slow as possible. Now, this may not look fast or furious, but this is a good stepping stone, because whenever you learn something new, one of the best things you can do is transfer over the old techniques that you already know into the new style. So like when I pick up a bow staff, for instance, the first thing I did was try to figure out how many nunchuck moves I already knew that I could use. How many nunchuck techniques could I use on the bow staff that are similar? So this one, I'm assuming you know this figure eight, but working on these figure eights would be a very good start. And basically, they're both in the same, occupying the same space. One has to slash down slightly faster than the other just so they don't smack each other. Let's see. Well, I can't get them to smack. I think, there we go. So one's slightly below the other. As they cross, your hands will naturally, one will go above the other. And then as you come down like this and they cross over, you just let it make one circle across and you're gonna slash back. Now, a nice thing about this too is when you're slashed to the outside here, you give it one big circle and open up your armpits, and you can clasp down like this. So boom, boom, clasp. Right? If you think of all the nunchuck moves that you know, a lot of them can be done with doubles, but there's going to have to be a synchronicity. For instance, this is just, what this is simply a figure eight wrist roll, right? And then it's another figure eight wrist roll. But then the hardest part about using doubles is the fact that they have to happen simultaneously in different spaces. So again, like what you know about your singles motions, the things that you can think about with singles is going to be the same for doubles, except for you have to figure out your timing a little bit more. So again, this complicated move like this is literally just 2 figure eight wrist rolls happening with the left and in the right hand, except for this one's in the front while this one's in the back, and then this one's in the back while this one's in the front. So then we just have to practice how do we space our hands with that. That's its most simplest form. There's a lot, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of nunchuck techniques. So without me actually seeing your video, I think that's gonna be the best thing to start with. It's gonna be just standard figure eights, maybe even some circular spins, get some clutches. Just think of all the things you can do with a single nunchuck, but you don't have another hand to grab it. So you can bounce up, bounce down, bounce up, clutch. Oops. You guys have to understand too, I'm still getting used to these new chucks. I'm used to the old style dark monks, and these are a little bit, the weight's definitely a little bit different. So I may be making a little bit more mistakes still getting used to them. Up, down, up, cross, up, slash, slash, clutch. Right? So these are just 2 double hip bounces over the shoulders, into the armpits, back up to the shoulders, crossing over and back. Hopefully I didn't go too fast for you on that one. I definitely have some double nunchuck videos that you should watch. It's a little bit more in depth, but to start with, just kind of keep that in mind. All right. Double nunchuck stalls. So stalls with chucks are hard because you have just this tiny little string, which should actually make stalls easier, but then you have this long stick, right? So the trick to a stall is something like when you're gonna look at the tip of the chuck, wherever it's at. So if you just spin in a circular, like give it a standard circular spin, what you're gonna think about doing is when the chuck is facing upwards like this, you're gonna arc up into it and try to get it to stall straight down. So basically what I'm saying is, think of a dolphin that leaps over a wall. It's not just like this big swing over and down, which you can do, but the trick to a good stall is the ability to, once it's going up, you're gonna kind of follow it. And what's gonna happen is the center, you're gonna notice like this, the chuck is kind of gonna have like this isolated motion. We call it an isolation when the center of the chuck So when you normally spin a chuck, the center of the chuck is right in the middle. So where my hand is, you can see like if this were a paintbrush, this is creating a big circle, right? In isolation puts the circle more in the center of the chuck. So the center of the circle now is here as opposed to where my hand is. Again, here's a regular spin, here's an isolated spin. You're gonna notice it looks a little bit different, right? And isolation is a great way to get into, and what's basically happening is as the chuck is spinning in the center, this puts all the force at the tip of the chuck. But as we start to isolate it, as my hand moves in a circle around the chuck like this, you're gonna notice this center becomes the focal point. But when I stop, it's very easy to stop because almost all the force is here as opposed to over here. When all the force is here, it's really hard to stop it. You can, but you just have to give it more force. Like you have to really drive it over. So the trick to a good stall is, again, it's almost like an isolation. When it's here, I'm just kind of trying to rotate my chuck like that, boom. And then the last trick to it is where you put the other hand. So if I just go like this and I stall it, that works fine. But the trick is, again, if we can just try to capture this isolation, it's the easiest way to, it's gonna be the best way to get a good stall. But if you notice, one way you can practice in isolation at first is just to grab the end of the chuck and to spin your hand around it until you can kind of see where this would be the center of the chuck, where this would be the center of the spin. And that's kind of what you're trying to duplicate. But you do it very shortly because it's spinning like this. You're gonna notice I am spinning it normally, but then at the last second, I give it like this little spin and then I drop it like that, boom. And that's how we finish it off. So, oops. Yeah, don't go too fast either, like that. And it's the same with doubles. So when we got doubles, it's gonna be the same thing where we just kind of push into it. Again, what you wanna do is kind of get this little isolated center, push up into it, and you either do one of two things. You either hold the chuck in a straight line, which I generally prefer because it makes a nice straight stall, whoosh, or what you can do is you hold it sideways like this, and this creates a 90-degree stall, which, again, excuse me as I use these kind of newer chucks, should be good for square stalls. So the way that your other hand is will make a huge difference too. Most stalls, the easiest stall is going to be the down stall like this. And again, we're just kind of coming over the top like a dolphin. The second one that I think is the second easiest, but it's a little bit harder, is it's almost like a golf swing. What you're kind of doing is you're taking your wrist and you're flicking it down, and then you're giving it a thumbs up. Most of the force is in the flick, and then you just kind of release it and push into it. What I mean to say is, you don't push the force all the way through, or your chuck's gonna end up more sideways like this, right? If I just go whoosh, it's gonna go upwards, right? So what you have to do is you flick it and you give it a lot of force, but then the moment you're gonna just let it carry itself upwards, and as it's going upwards, you're gonna push forward and you're gonna try to get your hand right underneath the top of the chuck. If you can do that, it should just kind of stick straight up like that. So what this, again, in slow motion, what this looks like is we're going down, we're flicking it, and then as it's coming up, we're letting the force carry itself up, and then we're pushing it forward to match it. So if you do a stall and it looks like this, it's because one, you may not have flicked it hard enough, and two, you didn't get under it. If you got under it, it would be like this. If you don't get under it, if you do a stall and you don't get under it, it's gonna have like this diagonal look like this. But if you can get under it, it'll be a lot straighter. There's a lot of subtleties and nuances to stalls, and you could literally spend a year just working them out. But I mean, for me, those are the ones I generally feel work great. Doubles is a lot harder because you can't put your body into it as much as you can with one. So I would start with one. One of my favorite easy stalls to do is you kind of hold it by if you're in your right hand, you kind of hold it by your right hip, and you're going to spin it clockwise. And you're going to do the dolphin jump. So it's going to jump over and it's going to dolphin over like this. So it's just like you're basically, again, waiting till it gets about 12 o'clock, lifting your hand up with it. As it goes down to 6, you drop it down. The moment you drop it down, you can easily just take your foot, kick it back into place, and then go back into motion. So, wow, you know, here, drop, boom. And I totally lost my earpiece. Something like that. So that's the trick, is downward stall, strike this part, maybe with a foot. You can use your hand or whatever to get it back going. Nice little stall combo pattern that I like to do. All right. Potato boy. Hello, I am a very nice potato. How are you? Very nice. I'm very nice too. Thank you. X-Man Dab says, hello, Ken. Or thanks, Ken. Sorry. You guys want to know something funny? As I've turned older, just this last year, I had to wear glasses and I'm still not getting used to it. I've lost a little bit of my my short-sightedness, and it's been driving me nuts lately because I'm so used to not needing it. And then I'm reading things and everything's so blurry. Anyways, Potato Boy said, I'd like it if you responded to me. How are you? I'm doing pretty good. Life's pretty good over here. I mean, weather's good. Got some new nunchucks. There's been a lot of gigs lately, so I apologize if I haven't been on YouTube as much. Just trying to get through everything, but I'm glad to be back. It's good to be back. Akash says, many times I get afraid of getting injured while practicing. I'm not able to learn more. Any suggestions, Sensei? Yes. So there's a lot of reasons why people can be afraid. And sometimes, okay, so here's the thing. If you're afraid of getting hurt, it's probably healthy to a point. Just like if you're not afraid of getting hurt, it's probably healthy to a point. People that are fearless can tend to go through it faster, but then you reach a point where you're reckless too. So if you're on the other side where you have fear of hurting yourself, that can be good, but if you have too much fear, it's going to slow your progress down. So, gosh, I wish I had these, but on Amazon, they have these elbow pads called hex pads. Their hex pads are like $20. But some people wear elbow pads, and that helps. That makes them feel better, because the truth is, if you hit yourself, it's likely because your plane or your timing is off. So if you practice that till you get comfortable, usually you won't hit yourself once you get to that point. So what you need to do until you get to that point is you can either do a few things. One, have lighter nunchucks. If your nunchucks are metal, if they're heavy, you have a much greater chance to hurt yourself. Two, you don't have that option, go slower, go a lot slower. You don't have to be super fast. As a matter of fact, being able to get good slow is what can allow you to go fast. If you can't do it slowly, it's going to look sloppy when you go fast most of the time. And then the third is just use different nunchucks. Or wait, I already said that. What was the third? Oh yeah, the third is use some sort of protective measures. For instance, if you need to, put on elbow pads. I mean, wear a cup, a groin cup if you need to. Wherever you think you hit yourself or where you have hit yourself, generally speaking, I usually hit myself in the elbows when I was first starting. That was the main part. So the hex pads worked really good for me. I rarely hit myself in the head, once in a while, but most of the time it was the elbows, and they killed. So I would recommend trying all those things, and then just repetition, keep doing it over and over again. Just keep doing it. Don't go so fast though. Use good chucks, wear protective measures if you need to, and I feel like that will help a lot. And then the rest is just giving it a shot. Make sure that your fear isn't so much to where you still won't take that chance, but have a healthy amount of fear so you don't become reckless. I think that's good. All right. Kazim asks about making a small set of combos. And hold on, I wonder if I can pop out chat. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an easier way to see all this here. Give me just a second here. Okay, Kazim's asking about making small sets of combos. Anytime you make a combo, we're just going to go to single chucks. Anytime you make a combo, it's a matter of just thinking about which direction the chuck needs to go. So in this case, if the chuck is going counterclockwise, everything I do has to go counterclockwise until I do a bounce or a stall or a catch to change direction, right? So what you should start doing, one thing that I like to do to make combos, I've said this before, but just make index cards. You know, get a bunch of index cards and write down all your moves and write down if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. There's other positions, of course, too, like there's horizontals, overheads, and whatnot. But just to start, just go clockwise, counterclockwise, and divide them in half. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to pull out 2 to 3 random cards and then figure out how you can connect them together. Do the ones that are in the same spinning direction, though. So, for instance, here's a syncopated wrist roll. if you see a syncopated wrist roll to a front-to-front hand roll to rotor pass, it's easy to get all of these done because they're all going in the same direction, right? What happens is if you use something that goes the opposite direction, like a cross grab, it gets a lot harder because there's no easy way to cross grab from here. You have to change directions. It's more of a counterclockwise move with your right hand. So if you separate them into clockwise and counterclockwise, then it's going to be a lot easier to write out combos, and you can just pull out 3 different cards and just find out how they connect together to make a combo. And if you do want to start getting more advanced, then you can go into the opposite direction, and then you have to figure out how to add a bounce or a catch. So again, if we go like this and we did want to add that cross grab, just do a bounce, and then we can go to the cross grab. Or if you want to do a cross grab, just do a catch, and then do a cross grab. Or whatever. Oops, that wasn't a cross grab. Then do a cross grab, or whatever you want. You can do this and do a stall and do a cross grab, you know? So you've got options. Just think about transitions now, and that's how you build combos. You can build unlimited combos. Most of the time, I don't even make my combos anymore. I just kind of let it flow out through me. But when I first started, the flashcards thing was a really good one for me. Peter asks, are there moves I really like when I'm doing LED chucks? Absolutely. The moves I like with LED chucks are usually just high-speed figure-8 wrist roll type motions. Again, when you're using LED chucks, one thing you want to think about is that it's drawing a picture. I don't have my LED chucks on me right now, but I have a staff. And the staff is similar to LED chucks, right? Except this one's out of batteries. Let me see if this one has some batteries here. Hold on, let's see. Okay, so all my LEDs are out of batteries right now. But even if you see it a little bit, what it's going to do, it's going to draw pictures as I move my chuck or my staff or anything I want. So what you really want is big circles and big kinds of really cool patterns, right? What we're not trying to do is we don't want to try to do like super complicated moves that look really great, but they don't have a lot of motion or they don't draw a lot. So like, I'm trying to think of a good example, but figure-8 wrist rolls are probably one of the best because you're getting a lot of spins, a lot of motions. And then what you can do when you do your figure-8 wrist rolls, especially with LEDs, is start extending your hands and creating these big, beautiful patterns that spiral all around you. To me, those tend to look the best. Figure-8 wrist rolls, anything with high-speed circles. When you're talking about buzz saws, love the buzz saws with LED chucks. Or if we're talking even just these little overheads or horizontal buzz saws where you kind of spin with it. All of these are fantastic, but good old 3-beat weave, of course. If we're talking about one, it's going to just be figure-8 hand rolls with lots of motion. Just big moves like that. And you'll notice a lot of my style is based on that. And then what you want to do is you want to create moves that break it up. The reason why I like figure-8 wrist rolls and big motions is because the brilliant light will leave trails. So the faster and the bigger you can move it, the more you're going to see these big trails moving across. But again, if you get a little more technical, like we can get into these, right? And it can look cool, but only to a certain degree. If you go too, like, how am I saying? This can look good if you just do your standard moves, boom, 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 but only for a certain amount of time. I feel like eventually it just kind of loses its effect because you have all of this space, and the figure-8 wrist rolls and things like that allow you to use the full chuck in the plane that broadcasts as much light as possible. So think a lot about your planes. Even if I'm going like this is going to get a different effect. For the camera, it's going to look like a straight line cutting down, which again is fine once in a while. But generally speaking, if we're going to the side, it'll create a lot more circles happening here, which will create a lot more trails, comets, all kinds of good stuff. So my recommendation is quite simply just think about your prop as like a paintbrush, and you're trying to paint it in the air, and you're trying to cover as much ground as possible. In the most part, we call it planes, but just think of it like a giant canvas that you're painting in front of people. So you want to make sure the canvas faces the audience. Now, if the audience is around you 360 degrees, you're not able to do that, right? If you're using nunchucks and there's an audience all the way around you, as you do moves like this in front of this audience, the audience over here sees this, which doesn't nearly look as cool. So if you have an audience that's 360 around you and you want to showcase and make sure that everyone's getting a little bit of fair share, I generally go for horizontal motions like these kinds of things. Whoosh. I generally go horizontal, or what I'll do is I'll do very fast, face this crowd, face this crowd, face this crowd, face this crowd. So now I'm using footwork to address a very clean, big plane, but briefly to different sides. So that way everyone feels like they were able to get a little bit of a show. All right. Glenmott says, thank you, Sensei. You're most welcome. Most welcome. Kazim asks, tips for a slow style. So if you think about slow style, I think it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, but more catches. I tend to think that if you want to go slow, sometimes even just adding a little sharp motion beforehand works good. You want smooth, you want really nice and smooth. I am not the king of slow motion nunchucks. I am not the best at explaining this because I generally like to go fast. But what you are looking for is if you are going slow, you want it to be smooth. So if you're going slow and it's not smooth, it just kind of looks like you're going from technique to technique. The slow will really show that a lot more. So your transitions are a lot more important when you go slower. So if it's a little bit sloppy here, everyone's going to kind of see the sloppiness because it's everything is more dragged out. So when you go slow, make sure you focus on how you move in between techniques. It's going to show up a lot more and it'll make it a lot better. So again, really practice on how you move with it. Because the difference is, between this, the difference between the way your hands move is huge. And again, when you're going slower, they're going to catch a lot more of it. So just make sure you go for smooth when you go for slow. Ken, what is the most surprising trick you have? Like the one people are astonished when they see it? It depends. When I have fire nunchucks, it's this. You guys, sometimes it's not about the technique. It's about the showmanship of it. So with fire nunchucks, for instance, the fact that I'm able to put nunchucks right at my shoulders and I have these two huge flames right next to my face surprises the daylights out of people. And that's important to note because to us, to the nunchuckers, that's the most basic move, right? But if you're doing a lot of advanced, complicated moves, right? I'm doing all these crazy complicated moves, rah, or whatever, throw it and catch it here, here, here. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, I just drop the nunchucks and there's flame by my face. The crowd freaks out. And not only that, I think in terms of adding surprise for a nunchuck, this is a stopping moment where I'm not doing anything. So usually this gives the crowd time to applause. Generally, like I said, with fire dancing, I try to avoid talking about it too much. Seek out a fire troop. Do not pick up fire nunchucks just because you've seen me play with them. But if you are already doing it, the trick to this move is quite simple. Yes, you can burn your face. So the trick to this move is quite simply, one, make sure the wind is not against you. If the wind is against you, don't do this move because obviously if the wind is blowing at your face, they're just going to melt your face. Two is you hold your breath before you do it because obviously if you're doing this, you have nunchucks here and you inhale and there's any kind of fire next to your face, you're going to inhale it and your lungs, you're going to damage your lungs. And I've done that before and it sucks. You'll be coughing all night. It's no fun. And then the third, so what you'll do is you'll do your move, you're doing crazy move, whatever, whoosh, whoosh. And then you do this, take a deep breath, hold your breath. And then there's no wind, so it's not blowing it in your face. And then you slowly move backwards. As you move backwards, it draws the fire away from you. So if you stand still, the fire's gonna be right here, could catch your hair on fire. But you know as well as I do, anyone that's a fire dancer, as you move, the fire gets dragged. So when you have it here, you move backwards to draw it this way, and then the fire will be moving this direction as opposed to this direction. And so those are all essentials, but while it may look simple that it's just over the neck pass, there are very specific things that make it a little bit more fascinating and able to do with fire chucks. And honestly, that is like one of the biggest ways to get applause with fire chucks that I've seen so far. But you just got to do it right, or you'll burn your face. And just simple stuff too, just like even oops, excuse me, even the leg catch like this. And if you just hold it here just for a second, people haven't seen that before, so they freak out and they love it. I've done some very complicated moves on stage where the crowd didn't catch it. And I feel like that's so important to note. I've done all kinds of finger rolls and thumb rolls, and I've done this like behind the back double spin catch, and they don't even care. But man, you put this by your face, holy cow, they be loving that. So keep in mind, there's spinning for the nunchuckers, and then there's spinning to perform or spinning for the audience, and they're totally different. Let's see, Master Petrosi, welcome. How do you do X catch to S catch? Oh man, you're asking a tough one. So if you're talking about this S catch, let me see. Wait. Oh, we're talking about S catch to X catch. So X to S. What you're looking at is a very complicated, very difficult move. Here's how it looks. First, we're going into the X catch. So we're pushing against each other. Bam, like this. And then what happens is you can do an S catch from here, and it's coming off. Okay, so right here, this is where we're usually at an X catch, right? What you're gonna look at is what are the two fingers that are closest to the rope? You got your pinky finger up here and you have your pointer finger over here. So when in doubt, think of which two fingers are closest to the rope. Now the thing is your fingers are in the way of this turning. So do this one at a time. Start with the pinky finger on this side, get that pinky finger over it. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna flip this up, then you have to move your fingers out of the way in order for it to finish. So as you get this pinky finger over, you got to move all those fingers out of the way. I generally try to turn my hand this way, so that way my pinky finger is the only thing in the way. Boom, like that, right? And you have to do the exact same thing with the other hand too. This is the pointer finger. As you drop it, you'll notice all your fingers in the way, and this is why it's really hard to get it there. So you can kind of tilt your hand a little bit over diagonally as well. And what's going to happen is when it happens at the same time, you're going to be able to do this move. So just kind of let it dangle like this for a second. So we've got the X catch, right? Just drop it all until this is around your pointer finger. You're going to have to lift this up until this is only over your pinky, and you're going to see how the S catch works. From here, you just grab here, and this is going to grab underneath like that. And then what you have is this very complicated S catch. Again, it's very difficult to get into. Here, you really got to give it a little bit of a twist before you start. This kind of moves diagonally like this. This kind of moves diagonally this way. To get out of the way, you got to get these fingers out of the way, and that's the hardest part of this next technique. And then once they get out of the way, they pop back and catch the chuck a second time, and then you're into this one. The only problem is it's not the easiest to get out of. I usually just thread my fingers through and then escape out of that way. This is one of those ones too that are mostly just for nunchuckers. Most people don't realize how hard or complicated that move is. So I'm glad you asked. But yeah, that's a tough one that the crowd doesn't usually notice, but it's pretty fun if you can nail it. All right, y'all, give me just a second here. Give me just a second, everyone. I think I'm gonna give this a shot. We're gonna try to see if we can bring on the Zoom. So give me a second here. This is the first time I'm gonna give it a shot. We're gonna try to put on, I'm gonna open up the Zoom to everyone. Just keep in mind, if you try to Zoom bomb, obviously we'll ban you. Give me just a second while I get the code. If you have Zoom, you're welcome to join in. Participants. I just have to get where is it? I gotta get the invite code, everyone. Give me just a second here. All right. So I'm going to paste the invite code. I'm going to paste the invite code into the chat room, into the YouTube chat room. I'm also going to go on Facebook really quick and make sure I don't have anyone messaging me on the Facebook channel here. Give me just a second here. Perfect. And is that it? All right. Wow. Okay, I see it. I gotta edit this out. So I'm basically gonna post the Zoom channel here. Anyone is free to join in. Just don't Zoom bomb, obviously. There we go. Here is the link. Boom. Here is the code. There it is. I just posted in the chat room. You're welcome to join. Just send an invite. If you have Zoom installed and you want to do some training or you want to ask some questions in person, please feel free to jump in. This is the first time I've actually opened it publicly, so I'm hoping everyone's going to be cool. I'm going to keep reading off. More of the questions in the chat room. Again, if you have Zoom, though, feel free to join in. Oh, the meeting ID. Give me a second here. Meeting ID is this. There we go. All right. John asks where he can get good illegal weapons. I'm assuming the black market, but what's interesting though is like nunchucks are illegal in some places, right? Which is kind of ridiculous. But I mean, even these chucks would be considered illegal in some places, which is just blows my mind. Blows my mind that some of this was considered a felony, like as bad as a sawed-off shotgun in some states. I just can't believe that this is still a thing, like even after all this time. All right, so we're gonna keep going here. I tried to ask the last time, but autocorrect. Have you already used poi moves with nunchucks? Absolutely, absolutely. Dude, so many moves from staff, double staff poi. So when I first started nunchucks, I spent 2 years working on it. And then after that, I started to learn other props and started incorporating them. So for instance, this move here, the moon wave, I learned it off watching a glow stringer do something very similar, except for he had 2 glow strings and he was crossing them over. Same with this kind of move. This is also a glow stringing move, but it's just converted over where we cross the chucks into each other. So they cross paths like this. And then from there, you can kind of rebound them and pull them out. So like you can do string manipulations with glow strings. I figured you could do them with nunchucks too. So a lot of this stuff is me watching other props and learning other props. I've learned rope dart, poi, staff, double staff, and then incorporating some of them into the nunchuck routines. There's some people that even do it better than I do. I still like to keep it more martial artsy. And then I also like to just try to figure out my own tricks out of it too. But there's definitely a lot of poi moves. The 3-beat weaves are poi moves and the Andy spins are poi moves. And like a lot of this stuff came from poi to start with. And then this came from staff. This one, that trick came from like practicing a staff move and then translating it over to chuck. So what's cool is if you run out of ideas with your nunchucks, pick up a different move. See if that works for you better. All right, again, I just opened up the Zoom chat. So let's start letting people come in here. Give me just a second here. There's one thing is, I really hope that, there we go, give me a second. All right, I'm gonna see if we can keep asking questions. No, let's see. All right, Akash says, thanks so much, sir, and you're most welcome. Kazim says the flow twist chucks are my favorite. Dude, I love flow twist chucks. They're so good. I actually don't have the vision chucks. One second here. All right. Here, Anthony just asked to come in. I'm going to try to bring in Anthony. Please let me know if there's any problems. This is still kind of new. What's up, man? Okay. Let me. Hello. Yes.
You're most welcome. Kazim says the flow twist chucks are my favorite. Dude,
hey, this is great, man.
They're so good. I
wasn't sure if the audio would work or not. The only thing is there's a little bit of an echo with the audio. So like, you know how you have that like 5-second delay with audio?
Anthony just asked to come in. I'm going to try to bring it in.
Whoa. Am I in? Hang on. Yeah. Awesome.
So how's it going, man?
I'm all right. Yourself?
Doing good?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, man, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm just, oh wait, 1 second here. Khalid says, hello, can you please answer me? Hey. Now, Anthony, you've been working on all kinds of great stuff too, man.
Thank you, Ken. You too. I seen you were working on this thing into this back catch, which I thought was really cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think and yeah, you know, just working on some like I don't know, just trying to find new creative weird stuff to do. That's mostly what I like to do. The cool thing about like what I like to do is like I'll try to just come up with something and then let you guys do it and do it better, and then I'm off to doing something else. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say again, if you guys are just joining us, I just posted the Zoom in the chat. So check out chat if you want to join the Zoom and basically just talk, chat, share. I'll still answer questions on YouTube, but if you want to join on the Zoom channel, just check out the YouTube chat. We're going.
I'm gonna try and get two.
What about you, man? What's been your favorite move that you've been working on so far?
The stall chasers with chucks. I find them to be really attractive moves because you can put an anti-spin at the top as well and kind of divert
Stall
as it
chasers.
comes down.
Show me how you do it with an anti-spin though. I've seen stall chasers, but I don't know what an anti-spin.
Let me get these LEDs on the go because I've got two. I'll show you quickly with, should have some chucks here.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Fire chucks. Right. So we have totally odd chucks. We have a set of dinos on fire. So kind of with your anti-spin, you clock over from here. Over
you're actually doing a reverse grip anti-spin then, huh? Did I see that right?
So when you stall at the top over here, you kind of go up and then here, and then kind of bring it over.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of an attractive pattern like, but it looks better with LEDs. As I say, I'm going to try and get these on the go like. There's one. How's life with you anyway? I heard you back in work as well. I bet you're loving it.
Oh, work is
back in work.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Doing shows out of town. So I've been going out of town a lot over the weekend, just about every weekend, and doing shows, and everything's just starting to move again, which is great. Oh, we got Perry coming in. I'm gonna let him on in. Give me just a second. I want to respond to Khalid too. There we go. And again, everyone, if you're just joining, I just posted the link to the Zoom into the Facebook chat, or the YouTube chat. So be sure to check out YouTube and get that Zoom ID. You're welcome to join in, ask questions, show me what you're working on. Just think it's gonna be fun. We're just gonna zoom out. There we go. Yeah, Anthony has been he's been one of those guys that I remember when he was just starting chucks and he just ran with it. Like, you got so many cool moves. I think you definitely work on chucks more than I do recently, so.
Yeah, I kind of, I've been watching a lot of your older stuff, but I've also been watching Drex as well. Like with some of his caps, which you can do, which are kind of like this.
Yeah.
I'll show you, like, so you can see the pattern. So it's like one. It's kind of like, you can do them with clubs, but you can also do them with tools as well.
I used to do those, yeah. I do them more with double stabs, but yeah. Do you also try like isolations, like isolating here and then twisting?
Like that.
Yeah, all kinds of, that's for everyone wondering, those are more like double staff moves. Like, you have two stabs in your hand. you can kind of get all these different kinds of twisty motions. It's just kind of creating patterns. You can do them with chucks too, but you kind of have to wrap it around your fingers. These chucks are pretty small. I have to wrap it around one finger. Oh, I just saw someone and then they disappeared.
Or you can wrap it like this.
Oh yeah.
So you kind of, so instead of actually wrapping it around your fingers, you're kind of grabbing the rope here and then lifting it up. And then you kind of go here.
Or you can upstall too. So you can upstall, let it drop in your hand like that. And you got a nice grip right there too.
I can't quite get that one. There.
Yeah. And then you basically have the chucks like stuck into each other though. So they'll be a little bit smaller, but they'll also be pretty secure. But yeah, there's all kinds of like little cool moves you can do with them clasped together. Yes, nice. That's one of my favorites. I'm glad you could do that. Have you ever tried doing a stall like right there in the center and then taking it into like a buzzsaw? So you're going here, stall up, stall down, and then you can like change direction.
That one's a little bit difficult.
Or you can just basically practice this pattern here where you're doing an upstall and a downstall and changing it. So then you can go here, stall, 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 stall.
Hey, we see somebody. Perry's in now.
What's up, Perry? Your volume, your audio's off, but it's looking good, my friend. Let me turn this over here.
Again.
Ah, there we go. What's up? Where are you from, Perry? Nice. Looks like a nice day where you're at. It's pretty hot over here, y'all. That's for sure.
Again.
Ah, there we go. What's up? So, what are some of you guys' favorite moves? Let's see them. Nice.
I would love.
Nice.
You make like an arrow effect like this, and then like run off screen.
You made an arrow. Wow. Yeah, you sure did. That's cool.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. Make an arrow. Huh.
Yeah, I like them. I've seen Gabriella Ford do an awful lot of these because he does them a lot with his fire trucks. I've seen a video from like in 2004. Oh my God, it's a hell of a video.
Who?
Gabriella Ford.
Oh yeah.
Alexandra, I think.
Gabriel's
Alexandra
awesome.
Gabriella Ford. Or it might be a way around.
Yeah, Gabriel's awesome. I wish his channel took off as much as mine did because he's like, I feel like he's the other side of nunchucks that I don't do as much. His doubles are definitely more in the flow arts side of things and they just look beautiful. Like he has such a beautiful flow. Yeah, very nice. Both you. Good throw, man. I like that, Perry. I'm gonna check and see if there's any questions in the chat room right now. Good. Just a second here. All right. There we go. So I think the big one, and this is in the chat room or on the Zoom, again, if you're just joining us, the Zoom class is up in the YouTube chat channel. If you want to join us, come on in. My big question to any of you guys is, do you have any questions? Is there anything you've been wanting to learn? Is there something you have questions about with singles or doubles, performance, fire? Those are my main ones right there. Just let me know, ask in the chat or ask in Zoom too. Oh, We got Andrew coming in here. There we go. I did notice, Perry, I don't know if you're asking, but your audio was off. It could be that just to reduce echo, but I'm just letting you know if you were asking something. Mic's off. Okay, cool. What about you, Anthony? What about you, man?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Give me a second here. How's it going, Andrew?
I'm good. Do you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Man, I love what are you doing?
Sorry, let me see here. If I have these bad earbuds, and sometimes if I stand even this far, it cuts out. So.
I like what are you doing?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I learned a lot of tricks from you.
Good. That's great. I mean, let me see here. I'm really glad to hear that. That makes me happy. Khaled's turned into the ring. Did you guys see that?
Yeah. Samara.
Uh-huh. I do have a question for people, which is, does anyone have good recommended earbuds, Bluetooth earbuds that they wear where it doesn't flatter the ears? Because I've tried so many brands, and when I get into a flow, even these things, how many times have I picked these up already? 3 times, I think. Does anyone have any good Bluetooth earbuds that they recommend that doesn't flatter their ears when they're going crazy with chucks?
I use the old style ones. Do you know the ones that have that go on your ears and come around?
Oh, they don't fall off though?
No. I'll go and grab a set now.
Really? Yeah, like I've got these really nice headphones, right? But they always fly off. Those things fly off 10, 15 feet. Good catch. I like that.
Yeah, these things. They're Bluetooth as well.
Really?
So
See, I have earbuds like these, or I have headphones, and they're really good ones. But dude, those things just fly off my head.
Yeah, no, these are right.
Usually when I do twists, like lots of turns. Huh. Oh, that's great. Nice, Peter. I like that Simex. Or Peter. Sorry, Perry. I meant Perry. This again goes back to me having to freaking wear glasses where I'm not going to read it right.
Yeah, Death Mode showed one of his tricks in this video, and this was a very cool one. So I paused the video and let it play on 0.25, and now I understand it.
That's great. Dev Mode kills it, man. Like, I definitely want to bring him back in again.
Yeah, he's super good.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
I hate you.
Sometime I want to get you in too, Anthony. Just gigs and stuff. I have a little bit of I've got a little roster of instructors that I want to bring in. And then I don't know if you guys know this, but the end goal for me is to have a lot more instructors to where, I've been teaching for 10 years, right? I can keep teaching new moves. I always have them. But in my opinion, after a decade of doing this, it's going to be better to start bringing in people that have that have their own style and they've taken it farther, certain things farther, or the whole thing farther. I just think it's better now to start including more people. So it's kind of where I want to go with this.
Yeah, I think so as well. It gives other channels, small channels, to have a word as well, and like a voice, because you kind of represent us all with your kind of big channel, if you get what I mean. It kind of gives like other people a voice to kind of like express their style as well. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have. You know what I mean? Especially on your big platform, like, which is pretty good.
Well, thanks. Yeah, no, I think, and I think too, like, there's just a lot of great nunchuckers that deserve exposure. I mean, there's too many to name, to be honest, but it's just about also, I just have to set up a system that works. And I think that's probably going to be the main focus over these next few months. But what I would expect from Flowtricks is that I would want people, like, I'd want some instructors that will kind of carry it forward, some brand fresh new techniques and stuff. And then I'll still teach and do stuff, but more in the background and just kind of letting all these new styles come in and blend into play. I think that's kind of the goal. I think the hard part is just teaching the instructors the back end of things is the hardest part. So usually, yeah, that's just something I'm going to figure out. But that's a whole nother ballpark. That's something we'll talk about later. But
sorry for interrupting you, but can I show you my nunchucks?
Absolutely. I don't see your video. I can only hear you, Andrew.
Can you see me now?
Yeah.
These are good.
Mm-hmm. Those are good. I used to own a pair just like that.
Yes.
Really nice.
They're foam, right? And then they have plastic in the center with the red tips.
Yes.
Is that right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I used to own a pair. Yep. They're good. They're very fast.
Thank
really
you.
good with hyper styling. Those kinds of things. Super fast. Like you'll be able to get lots of speed out of those chucks for sure. They are a little bit light though, so your hand rolls may be a little bit harder to do than with heavier chucks. And when you do throws, you're going to want to drop your hand a little bit further back just because they're so light. Sometimes dropping your hand back will allow you to get the throws in a little bit easier. But they're great chucks.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't think I can stay anymore because in my country is night.
Ah, well, I'm glad you were able to join us at all. That's great. So thanks for joining,
Yes.
Andrew.
Thanks for coming.
Have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Give me just a second here. Surprised. Okay, I got a message here. Samsung Buds Plus are pretty good, but to be honest, I've never used them while spinning. X-Man Dev says Samsung Buds Plus are good, but he hasn't tried them while spinning. The thing with that is that's what I'm using are these Samsung Buds, and they do work really good. I actually have the Samsung Buds Plus, and they do work pretty good until I start doing spins. Like you can see, I've already lost them 3 times, so you know. Give me just a second here. Oh yeah. So Abdullah Ahmed says, yeah, he just wants me to say his name, of course. Welcome, Abdullah Ahmed. Can you late me admin? Oh, I can't make you admin here, but just because I don't know, I would have to know you. We'd have to be friends in order to be admin, just because you'd have a lot of control over the channel. But I'm happy to say your name, and I hope you've been having a good day so far. Well, Anthony,
Bye.
I've been working on, you know how you get these split opposite hand rolls? Like everyone does these, right? Have you been practicing the other 3 rotations though? Like it actually, like the reverses took me a second to think about because I never do it. Being able to come the opposite way. So instead of going upwards, going downwards with it, but keeping it into a hand roll.
Yeah. I can get it once, then it almost wants to kind of reverse it to there. And then it kind of wants to go soft.
So it's going down the body. And for some reason, it's that left hand that's getting me with this one. But I figured this would be like, this is the opposite of this one. So this is the one that everyone does. What would the reverse look like? The reverse would look like you'd start behind your back and then it'd come down like this. So here to there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It just feels weird and different. But having that, then you should be able to do 90-degree turns if you can do this. And then when you 90-degree turn it, it becomes regular. Then you 90-degree turn it again, it should be back to the reverse. So it should allow you to do footwork. Huh?
That's pretty sweet, that is. I've been working on putting like wrist rolls with my weaves.
Yeah, it'd just be like this, except for we're adding wrist rolls to it, as opposed to this.
This one. But yeah, it's all very sloppy at the moment. It's all pretty new, like what I've been working on. So.
I feel that. Yeah, that looks good. Wow. You're trying to do like a, trying to do 3-beat wrist rolls?
They're pretty hard.
That's awesome. That's a good throw, Perry, by the way. I like that. Good catch, man.
Thanks.
Was the hardest move, and I probably can't even do it, is that where you're doing snakes. You add the hand roll to it.
No, that's pretty difficult, yeah.
You can actually kind of get it smoothly now. Huh. But check this out, Perry, because if you think about it, like everyone's doing hand rolls this way, right? But we haven't done them in reverse, and I haven't seen them, like I haven't seen too many of them go the same direction too. So we have hand rolls that go this way as well, right? Which is basically same direction hand rolls. But then if you offset it, you have this really sweet like whoosh, 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 whoosh. You have like this really sweet like opening motion that just kind of looks like it goes forever. Here to there, spin, up to up. And that's just the same direction. Yeah, right. And it's just the same thing. It's just hand rolls doing these kinds of motions. This motion with hand rolls is all we're doing. So it's like both the hand rolls happen down here, hand rolls, and then the hand rolls happen over here. Whoops. And then we just offset the timing. So it's like hand roll, spin, hand roll, hand roll. And then we just offset it. So the first one goes first, left, right, left, right. I am Sarah.
I was trying double opposite hand rolls, but then in reverse. So the front to front.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Where you're coming down this way with the hand rolls, right?
Smart.
Oops. What's up, Sarah? I'm still struggling with the front to front reverse versions. Just with the left hand, they just don't want to play nice. All right, let's see. I think I got some comments over here. Give me just a second here. Tips for fire intros. Kazim asks, is there tips for fire intros? I think if we're talking about like, second, Brian Acosta, he's a regular. Brian has taken a lot of classes with me over Zoom. Oh, we got more. Just bringing in everyone I can here. Just a second here. I just realized something too. I have not even checked Zoom and see how this looks. Give me just a second. I'm hoping that.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, bro.
What's up, Brian?
Hey.
Hey there.
Just a second while I get this. How you doing, Brian?
Doing great. Doing great.
Good. Good. All right.
Bye.
Hello, hello, whoever that was. All right. But yeah, so it's just same direction like this, and then we start adding hand rolls. The first hand roll happens behind the back. It would be like two back to fronts here. And then as it comes to the front here, it's going to be back to fronts over here. So back to fronts here, over here, front to backs. We're never doing front to fronts for this. Oops. And the funny thing is my left hand just isn't used to this yet. And then from there, we just lead one hand before the other one goes. So then it's going to be lead, 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 lead. This has a nice little flutter to it, I think. All right, do this a second here. Bring up the pop-out chat here. So what you been working on, Brian?
What was the new reverse 3 beat that's down like the fire flowers? That's like this.
Oh yeah. Right, we were working on this one right here. We were trying to get a 3-beat weave behind the back like this, right?
Right. I thought it was a reverse. I thought it was a reverse though.
It is. That one's a reverse one. Yeah, that's a reverse one right here. It requires the use of something we call duck hand, which is the wrist has to bend downward in order to reach behind your back in order to get a good one. So getting the hand behind here, if you look really closely, we'll have the hand reflecting back here. But what this will open up is the ability to stand directly in front, keeping your chest facing the camera, and allow you to get a nice little 3-beat right there by your hip. That's right. That's a tricky one. The cool thing is too, Brian, if you want to work on this, when you get this reverse 3-beat by the hip over here, then you can carry it all the way up to your shoulder and do a regular 3-beat. So now you have shoulder to the hip, to the shoulder to the hip.
Okay.
And it's no different than this. It's no different than reverse to front, except for we're just pulling into different body parts.
I got it. Okay.
It's very similar to this, except we're pulling it from the hip to the shoulder. That's a good question too. Has anyone ever tried to, oh, hello. Was that Khalid that talked? A nice little variation that, hello Abood. A nice little variation that you can do is reverse to the right hip, regular to the left shoulder. So reverse, regular. Practice this diagonal pattern. And then switching it to reverse to the right shoulder, regular to the hip. In all one motion, it goes here, to here, to here, to here. And this is all, it goes from here, to here, to here, to there. And you just go back and forth.
Okay.
Ow. Yeah, so be careful, Brian, just practice. Okay, so here's what you can practice. Do a regular 3-beat weave to the side for a second, right? And what you're basically gonna do is you're either gonna pull it down towards your shoulder or up towards your shoulder or down to the hip. So if you do a regular 3-beat weave, see if you can get it as sideways as possible, keeping your chest facing the camera. So I'm trying to keep my chest facing the camera as much as possible. You'll notice my chest is actually more like 45 degrees like that. And then I'm slowly taking a 3-beat weave and I'm pulling it up towards the head and then back out. So here's where we're going sideways, and then I'm gonna kind of turn 45 degrees, put it closer by the head. So it's going behind the shoulder and in front of the shoulder. Same technique, we're just pulling it into a different path. Just watch your face. Watch your face on that one. That one can hurt. Good one, Perry. I'm really digging those throws. For the longest time, I was really hooked on flick throws, like where you just do a low grip and then you reverse the direction to catch it. So you flick it up at the edge. Used to love those. So it'd be like a stall to a flick, to a stall to a flick. Or you can do like, you guys have seen this one where you kind of stall in front of the camera and then you horizontal flick to behind the back catch. Yeah, that one's a fun one. Or you have the under the leg one to the flick.
Nice, nice.
Some fun flicks.
Can you do some nunchuck?
Hey, Bood, what'd you ask? Did you ask to do some nunchucks or? Yeah, those are fun. 1 second here. I am Sarah. Hello. Welcome back. I love your videos so much. Thank you. I'm shaking. Answer me, please. Hi. I know how to talk around.
Hi, can you send me one nunchuck?
I'm not able to send nunchucks. I've had a lot of requests to send nunchucks. I actually don't. I don't have too many extra nunchucks right now. I don't generally send nunchucks, but I can show you. Like I have videos on how to make them. So like, you can even make them with. You can even make them with newspapers. Okay, good. Yeah, I probably should someday. Maybe I will someday, but right now I haven't sent nunchucks out yet. One second here.
You have a big forehead.
Just a second, everyone. I've got to do a couple things here real quick. So in terms of chucks, where is everyone? I've asked what your favorite moves are. Where's everyone struggling? What's the big struggle moves that you guys
My
are
favorite
doing? I'm sorry? Feel free to.
My favorite movie is.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
We're all listening.
I hate you.
All right. I think Kali's just having fun. Give me just a second here. I appreciate it. But I'm going to kind of put you in the waiting. I'm going to put him in the waiting room just because he's getting silly now. And I've got some serious questions here. So where are you guys struggling at with chucks, or what do you find to be challenging or difficult or something that you want to work on?
You know that weave which you were going on about before, when you're saying the weave behind your back? Well, do you know, I've seen Jason do it where he pops his one hand behind and he gets a weave going on here. Instead of having it here, it's more
you're talking
here.
about like something like this?
Yes.
We're talking about something like that? So
yeah, that's hard.
You might want to practice the waist wrap first, which is the ability to kind of weave back and forth between your hips like this. So the way this works is you first want to practice. First, see if you can do this. Just do this nice little. See if you can. Swing, so.
I said bye.
All right. I'm gonna 1 second here.
Oh.
All right. anyone that's Zoom bombing or trying to be silly, I'll just have to pull you out. Sorry. So
I agree.
basically, what you want to do is be able to do hip reels, right? I think you can do hip reels, things like this, right?
Yes.
Where you can
Yes.
do a figure eight. And then what you need to do is sneak it behind you and see if you can do a figure eight back here, right? Can you do this?
I'll show you now in a minute.
Because that's the hardest part. If you can do that, then the rest of it's going to be using your other hand to follow it.
It's the timing of it that's kind of frazzling in my head, sort of thing. I'll show you now. There we are. Now we're all back in together.
Keep in mind, this whole thing has to be led by your hip. So if you're trying to use your hand, it won't work. And so it's a very hip. This move is used by the hips. Okay, so you can do this. See if you can do just a figure eight back and forth in front and behind. See if you can get that first. This is a prerequisite before you can do it. And do you notice my hand isn't moving very much at all? It's actually locked into my hip, and I'm twisting my hip back and forth to create the motion. More than anything else, if you look at my hand, it's very still. It almost, like from the side view, it looks like this.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
So the goal is, the goal is to, and remember, you got to twist your hip left to right, left to right. I'm barely moving my hand at all. If you look at it, I'm going to do it from the back. You'll notice that my wrist doesn't move at all. Neither does my hand. It's almost, I get this motion to start off by swinging in a circle, and then my hip just kind of bounces back and forth to get that motion to work. So here,
like this one, but behind. And it's getting this feeling to be kind of reverse over here, which is kind of frazzled in my head. I will work on this behind now. Here.
Good. Just make sure to use your hip. The reason why you also want to use your hip, dude, is if you get used to using your hand, you won't be able to do them with two hands. Both hands will have to be able to eventually do it. And then you'll be able to get like these kinds of wraps. So make sure you don't use your wrists. Don't bend your fingers. The hand is locked and everything is hips. Everything is this twist. So it's more like this twist. Let me show you. Look at my feet. Watch the feet. I don't know if you can see this very good, but the footwork, you can kind of see the I'm on the balls of my feet and I'm twisting back and forth like this. And what that does is that allows, let me see, let me get a little bit higher here. So you can see what the twisting of the feet does is allows me. So my hand barely moves at all, but I'm on the balls of my feet and I'm twisting back and forth with it.
Yeah, that's going to be a work. That one is.
You don't have to twist on the balls of your feet, but you are pivoting back and forth like this. The cool thing, and there's another thing you can practice, Anthony, which is start in front of your back, or start on the same side, right? Shoot it behind your back, give it one rotation down, and then pull it back to the front. See if you can just kind of get this whole rotation back to here. If you can twist with it too. So what this does is you're creating half a circle down by the hip. As it comes up, you're holding it still, and then this will rotate on its own across the hip, and then you're going to pull it back down. So here to here. Down, back to down.
A little bit lower.
And then the other part to this move is, oh, by the way, welcome, Yo Wolfgang. Good to see you. Your audio's off, by the way, just so you know. In case you were talking.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, that's better. Anyways, to finish the move, Anthony, once you're able to do the figure eight, the moment this rotates in front like this, the moment it rotates in front, the other hand chases it this way. The other hand is simply doing this motion. The other hand just does this, right? So what's going to happen is the moment this swings in front, this one just follows it. So here, chase. And then from there, it's just endlessly chasing it back and forth. But you got to get really comfortable with this move first. Just a figure eight behind the opposite side.
So I've got a move that's a little bit similar to that, but involves butterflies.
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah, you're talking about like this. I'm talking about this one, where it's kind of swinging into a butterfly position here.
Sort of, but my chucks are knotted. It's more, you bring the butterfly here, but then you've got to push this around, and then this is a downwards butterfly over here, and it's kind of switching. It's very much like that.
I've never actually done butterflies with that. Yeah, I always weave it, even with opposites. So I totally get that. Yeah. Nice. Wolfgang, that's some sweet flow.
I kind of got from you because I've seen you do the carnival twist, which is this, and then I've seen you go here with the moon wave, Well, I come up with a new variation. It involves one of my chucks are going dead. It involves them coming on top of your hand, and then you're going to kind of switch this down, and then
Right.
hang on, I've kind of done that one wrong then.
I see. So are you just trying to like drop it like that then?
Yeah, and then bring them down, and then the one that's on the top you can moonwave, but with that you can also get it to rotate around the rope, sort of thing. So I'll show you back here. 1,
Yeah, sure.
2.
Uh-huh.
And rotate and bring it off.
Oh, nice. I see that. Yeah.
I called that the string wave because like the rope's rotating around the string towards the end, and it comes off like a moon wave as well. So it's kind of natural to try and get them like this. So you know how you can go like the butterflies like this.
Uh-huh.
So you kind of hands swap the sticks around. It's like
You
the
need 2 front
butterflies
grips?
kind of hitting on you on the top of the head sort of thing, and then you're just going to stick your hands out and catch it like this. Yes, yes. Now the two sticks that are on the top, you're going to bring one and let it pass to the bottom, and then you're going to do exactly the same with the other one on the opposite side. Yes, yes. Now you'll find there's one rope that's crossed right on the top.
Sure.
Drop that, Chuck, and it will moon wave. Like that.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, so the
Oh,
rope
yeah.
that's actually
Gotcha.
crossing on
Yeah.
the top. Yeah.
Yeah,
and then
these guys
from
right here.
You can bring this to the side and then fling it off, and it will rotate around the rope.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool move.
I kind of thought of when like watching you, because it's yeah, it's one of them. It's quite complicated, but it's also quite versatile as well.
Yeah, no, that's definitely versatile, for sure. That's some cool stuff. Hey, what about you, Wolfgang? What's the current move that you're working on, or what's your thing that you are really enjoying working on right now?
Well, the last thing I was working on, I was learning the wrist rolls like this.
Nice. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And yeah, kind of getting it down to one hand. The reverse one, like the infinite one. I haven't been able to do that one.
That looks good though, man. Especially the riffs with the 2 hands. Like you definitely got a good solid handle with that. That looks great. Mm-hmm. Do you have a martial arts background by chance?
What?
You have a certain sharpness in your movements, and just curious if you've done martial arts.
Oh yeah,
Brian.
Kickboxing and like Tai Chi.
Ah, I see. Yeah. Very nice. Good sharpness, but you still have that like the martial arts movements that I just noticed it. That's all.
Yeah.
Looks good. Hey Brian, we lost you, man. So I'll just go through each person individually here and ask about a challenging move or a move that maybe you've wanted to learn. Perry, do you have any moves that you were interested in while I'm here? Anything you've wondered about?
Yes, when I was spinning, I just figured out that you can do just this, and then if you catch it with your wrist, you can launch it through the other side.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. I had to get something. Oops, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine, man. Fortunately, the video is chopping to the point where I can't quite see exactly what you just did. Can you try that again, Perry? I'm sorry.
Yes, if you do this. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, what do they call it? The eagle to a Simex.
The eagle.
Yeah, I think they call that the eagle.
That's a nice.
These chucks are a little bit too short a rope for me to be able to do the eagle I was never very great at it, but it's a little too short, unfortunately.
Do it with 2 fingers. So instead of it going around the whole hand, bring it around the 2 fingers if it's short.
Yeah, I could do that. I just, you know how creature of old habits, you know, like I'm used to 3, so going to 2, I'll have to retrain it a little bit is all.
So I like going into the eagle pose to go actually into the butterfly. Right, find it pretty cool. So you drop the eagle off and turn your hand up, and that'll enable you to catch it. But also, if you turn your fingers into it, you can pop like a like a thumb roller after your butterfly. So 1, 2, whoosh, and thumb roll, and drop.
Nice. That's complicated.
And then it's the thumb roll afterwards.
And that was cool, Perry, by the way, too. That was good.
Yeah, thanks.
That was cool. And then Wolfgang, you're working on getting, well, basically you're trying to do hand roll stalls, I think, right? Is that what you're trying to do? Where kind of similar to a rip, but just with one hand?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So a little trick that might help you is when you're doing the hand rolls, go in like a half circle. Do you see how my hand kind of moves in half moon? So it's like up and down, up and down. It'll help. Yeah. What'll help the chuck do is kind of like find this motion where it can stall for a second and change directions. Because if you pull too fast before it changes directions, it'll cause it to be harder to control. So yeah, just let it sit for a second and then pull it back in and drop it. Just always kind of drop it down before you change it up again. Just give it a little bit of a downward drop and then lift it up while you try it backwards again. That might be able to help you. Good, yeah, good. Yeah, we're just gonna drop that hand, drop, drop. Sometimes it's really about just lifting and lowering your arm. For a lot of things, especially with planes, I feel like that's a essential thing. And Brian, I know what we'd be working on. Is there anything that you want to learn right now while we're on YouTube?
Any new moves? I'm still on the reverse 3-beat down here. That's the newest one. The newest combo is the one you just showed me. But you got any new moves?
Sure.
Or do you want me to keep working on that one?
Let's see. I mean, you are just a plethora of different moves right now. Do you know how to do a front to front though? Do you know how to do a front to front hand roll? Like a front to front with your dominant hand, your right hand?
I don't think so. I think we did at one time. I don't know if I'm good. I don't think I'm good at it yet. This one, kind of like that, right?
So we're gonna get you into a move that uses front to front. Front to front hand rolls for some reason are super important with doubles. You end up doing a lot of front to front. So what we can do is create a 3-beat weave, and then we go back into crank, but we add a front to front hand roll with this hand. So it'll be 3-beat weave, front to front, 3-beat weave, front to front, 3-beat weave, front to front. So what we're gonna try to do—
both hands or just your right hand?
Just the right hand for this one.
Okay.
So what we're going to practice is getting to crank position, you know, where the chucks are kind of hitting in the center. Hands are kind of spread apart. And then the right hand, the back hand, you're going to be facing to the left though, because we're just got done with the 3-beat weave, but we're going to start here. So you're still facing left. You're not changing your positioning. And then from the right hand, you're going to practice a front to front hand roll here. So it'll be weave, pull to crank, front to front, weave, pull to crank, front to front. In one motion, they'll look like this. Whoosh. So you can just kind of see like there's this nice fluid flow that happens here. Whoosh. The cool thing about that move is, Brian, when you do this front to front here, you can always add a bounce to a throw. I mean, there's like really cool little tricks you can add on to it. But yeah, so we're going here, hit the crank. And then just to remind you, front to front, you're going to lower your grip. It's going to be a little bit further. So you're no longer having a high grip to do a front to front. We're going to middle grip. And then what's going to happen is your wrist is going to turn almost like you're waving hello to someone. Your thumb's going to stick out. Your hand's going to be very flat. So, or if you were thinking about screwing in something like a screw into the wall, your thumb is going to be doing that. So it's basically, yeah, exactly. What's going to happen is this string is going to wrap across the bottom of your wrist like this. It's going to roll across the back of your pinky finger into the open part of your hand, right like this. So if you want to practice, if you just go like this and you hold the chuck downward like this, take your other hand, wrap it across the bottom of your wrist like this, open up your other hand, and then let it roll all the way into your thumb. Boom, and grab.
Okay. Okay, I think I got it. Okay. Was 3-beat. Right.
One second. I'm going to let Khalid in again. Just welcome back, Khalid. Now make sure that you don't Zoom bomb us, please. But welcome back. Oh, there's 2 people waiting in the waiting room. Ah.
Oh, you're popular today, Ken.
All right, just a reminder, if you guys, please try not to be too silly on our channel, just because it's hard to like help people when there's a lot of silliness. But it's great to see you both back. Be good. We're also almost done with this class. So, I mean, we've been doing this for an hour and a half now, almost an hour 40 minutes.
Wow, y'all been there that long? I'm late.
Huh?
I said I didn't know you were on here that long. I thought you got on at about 3.
Oh yeah, no, we started an hour 40 minutes ago.
Cool.
Wow.
I think we're gonna do this again though. I think this has been pretty fun.
Cool.
It's really amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's just good to see some people that follow flow tricks too, you know? And just like see them in the flesh. I don't know, it's cool. Digitally, but
I like the time. That's why I think.
so I do have to say I really enjoy these double chucks with Dark Monks. I think these work great for double chucks. For singles, I still prefer the other ones, like his original pair. These are like his prototypes though, but these definitely work good for doubles. I like these better for doing doubles work.
Have you ever made your
Hello, it's Manny.
All right, hold on one second here. Putting him back in the waiting room. Jeez.
Oh.
Kids. I'm too excited. All right. Sorry, what was your question again?
have you ever made your own nunchucks? Because I'm out here in Canada, so I can't get any like wooden ones. So like I have foam ones right now, but I was thinking of like making a pair. I was wondering how hard it is.
It's not hard to make a pair of nunchucks. I've made them in the past. It's just time consuming, and people like if you can get someone to make it, they usually do a better job if they've made a lot of pairs. So I used to make my own chucks, but I'm just not really a big fan of it anymore. But you totally can. And another thing is you can talk to them about, you can tell them for some reason, I don't even know why nunchucks are still illegal, but they are in some places. And if they are, you can ask them to airport loop them instead. And airport loops mean the chucks come detached, so they're not nunchucks anymore. And then they're just 2 loops, and then you attach them together through the loops, and then they become nunchucks. So you can ask them to, basically, you can ask them to make airport loops, and then they don't come attached, so they won't get lost, in the mail. Both basically.
I make nunchucks. I build nunchucks. I can tell you all the best materials to get.
Yeah, talk to Anthony.
Yeah.
Right, so I use a plastic called barrier pipe. It's used in our water mains in the UK, but it's quite flexible. It's like PVC, but it doesn't crack. So that's the plastic that you really want to go with. If you want to coat them in foam, I would definitely go with bicycle foam that you just put on handlebars on your bike. I would definitely go for Technora. And to attach the rope, I use an M4 bolt, but I use an internal. It's I can't even remember the name of it now. Give me a minute. I'll give you a name now.
Or maybe just put it in chat so that way, because you may not. It'd be hard to remember all that. I think over.
But yeah, I reckon I should definitely make a tutorial on how I build them, right? Because I think that could benefit a lot of people. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of people that need chucks.
Mm-hmm.
But from its most basic standpoint, I mean, chucks are 2 sticks on a string.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of cool, creative things you can try. But there's definitely, you can definitely make them on your own. Again, there's been times even when I was doing gigs and I was out of town, I didn't have any nunchucks, and I just make them with a pair of socks. Just, there's so many ways you can do makeshift nunchucks. So even if you don't have some, you can still like find the one that works best for you.
Cool.
Yeah, I think how to attach the sticks between each other, that's the hardest part.
Mm-hmm. The tying method too, yeah, for sure.
Yes.
But there's also a lot of tutorials online for that. I know it already exists. I think it'd be cool though, Anthony, if you made some. You know.
This is the bolt that I use. The actual bolt goes inside the chuck. This whole thing here goes inside the chuck, and then this tiny little thing is left on the outside. As I say, it's a tiny little lip because I find when you use actual bolts, it started cutting my hand because the bolts were protruding outside the chuck that you're using, and because you hold it at the top when you're doing the wrist rolls, it kind of cuts you, and that's where I chose these things. They're internal rivet bolts. They've got a thread on them as well, which you can attach like an M4 bolt. That's the best thing to do. And what I'll do is I'll leave a link, if that's okay, Ken, in this chat, so Wolfgang can actually see what I'm going on about.
I think that would actually be recommended for sure, because yeah, it'd be hard to remember everything said in the chat room, but it'd be cool. It'd be cool if you posted links and stuff. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll do that now.
With that said, everyone, I'm dog sitting right now, and I think it's about time to take the dog for a WALK. So it's been a good 2 hours with you all almost. We've almost hit the 2 hour mark, and it's been fun. I hope you guys are a little bit better with your nunchucks, even if just tiny.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Of course,
Yeah,
of course. Yeah, I really appreciate it. This is something new, and I like it, and I think we'll try to do it again.
All right.
Amazing.
All right, everyone.
See ya.
Have a great weekend.
See you soon.
Great weekend.